Anyway, kind of getting in to our first segment here and moving on. Commitments around the state. I mean, these past 2 weeks, really, we've had some really big time commitments with the number one player in the 2025 class, Cam Appenzeller, going to Tennessee, flips from South Carolina to Tennessee. TJ McQuillan, a 2026 prospect, he's one of the top in the class as well for the 26s, going to Wake Forest. Ethan Moore flipped to Tennessee. Connor Essenberg flipped to Kentucky. So some really big names in that 2025 class that have flipped, and then 2026 class has had some commitments come through. Actually, quite a few from the Illinois State games committed to Division One schools as well. So throughout these past couple weeks, we've had 10 Division One commitments in the state of Illinois that have been sent to us. So really cool to see. Super happy for those guys. But I don't know if anybody wants to jump in here and maybe talk through some of these guys quickly.
I can get in there, Gavin, unless somebody else has anything. But it's been interesting to see the last couple of weeks with those four high level names that you mentioned to start, kind of flipping commitments. Not totally sure the exact reasons for all of that happening, but they are very good prospects now that are going to new landing spots. And all of them there in the SEC except for Wake. But man, Wake Forest has got a heck of a program going down there over there. And big left-handed thumper that went to Wake Forest out of Illinois in the past was Bobby Seymour, and he's having a ton of success right now in the Rays organization. So it looks like Wake Forest is coming back to Illinois to get another left-handed thumper in TJ McQuillan. So that's probably a good idea on their end, because I know that the Bobby Seymour had a great career at Wake Forest, and TJ McQuillan's well on his way to being one of the more prolific left-handed hitters in this area in the Midwest, and who knows about the country. But I thought that was interesting. And then just right off the top, the two lefties that I see here, Zane Caves and Blake Hoffer that you mentioned. Zane Caves finds a commitment at Michigan State. Blake Hoffer's going to Illinois. Two left-handed arms. I think we've talked about this. We talk about it a lot with our rankings calls, and how do you value, or how do you weigh position profiles? Catchers, middle infielders, first baseman, right-handed hitting outfielders versus a center fielder, corner outfielder. Left-handed pitchers are always, in my opinion, and the longer I've been doing this, the highest commodity. They always jump off the board the quickest. Everybody is always looking for left-handed arms. I don't know if you could ever have enough. So not shocking there to see those two guys, get plucked by Big Ten programs. Zane Caves is an interesting one for me. We've talked about him on this program before, but multi-sport guy, which adds to his intrigue as a prospect, but did not come out to anything in the winter. We didn't really see him in the spring, and popped up for us in the summer. Tyler saw him at a tournament up in Wisconsin there, checking out some of the better programs in the area, and Zane Caves was throwing. And I remember him texting us that night, like, hey, or G-chatting us that night, like, hey, this Zane Caves guy is really interesting. The body's as good as it gets, like 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", long levers. Plays basketball, plays multiple sports, like I said, but was really spinning the breaking ball for Tyler. And I mean, was a high follow from that point on. It was just the velo, and Tyler, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was more like 82, 83 that day. But was really pitching. And just at that point, when you talk future games and invites, that velo was probably just a touch light. Especially for a guy that we didn't have a ton of history on. That was our first time seeing him. So I don't know if he's been, 85 in the past and now he's down to 82, 83, or if he's been to, an event in the past and he was 77 and now all of a sudden, that was 4 months ago and now he's 5 mile an hour harder. And just being able to track that timeline that guys are on is huge for us. But needless to say, or I guess getting to my point here, is saw him in the summer, invited him to the state games, did not get the invite to the future games, comes to the state games, and I see him throw. And that was my biggest takeaway, just watching him. The velo had gone up from when we saw him earlier in the summer. It was more like 85, 86. It's a little bit of a unique delivery, the way the ball comes out. It looks like the fastball even plays up higher than that. And I'm watching him, and just the way the body looks on the mound, how he gets down the mound, how he controls his levers. It's a guy that definitely, could have belonged at the future games. And that's what's so great to me about the Illinois State games is we're going to miss guys. There's going to be guys that fly under the radar. We can only bring about 22 uncommitted that class, the rising sophomores going into their junior year. We can only bring like 22 of those guys. So there are a ton of good players that need to be seen, and that's why I love the Illinois State game so much. Is Caves goes there, and who knows when Michigan State saw him. Maybe they saw him in the summer, maybe they saw him at the state games. I don't know. But we got to see him there, and a lot of other schools got to see him there. And regardless, if Michigan State saw him there or not, it's going to help his price, right? Like it's going to help his offer because other schools now are going to be in the mix, trying to get him on a visit, whatever it may be. And if a Michigan State or somebody else wants to lock him up, now they have more competition to get him. So really happy for Zane Caves. Blake Hoffer, same way, left-handed arm. We saw him throughout the summer, was kind of a fringy follow future games. Came to the state games. We liked him, but I think he's a guy that just continues to get better, and the sky's the limit there. And Illinois is going after left-handed arms, and you can never have enough of them. So those were just a couple takeaways I had on those two guys, Gavin. And I know there's a few more that maybe we want to touch on this list.
Yeah, I'll just kind of list them off quickly. There's only a few more. Ryan Duncan committed to Illinois State. He was a future gamer. East Peoria kid. Matthew Steinberg committed to Manhattan University. Drew Stevens committed to Valparaiso. And then Derek Holmes just this past weekend committed to Mercyhurst University. But looking down the list, kind of Division II, we had one commitment. Division III, we had 14 commitments. NAIA, we had 1. And then junior college, 16 commitments. But continuing with that, the state games, we've had over 100 commitments. A lot of kids have gone to Division I schools. We've had 25. We've had 48 junior college commitments. And, that makes sense just looking around at a lot of the coaches for that state games roster is they're coaching the state games teams. But honestly, just wanted to give a big shout out to Lakeland. They have committed the most players since the event concluded. They've had 7 players commit to their program. So that's really cool to see for Lakeland. I know they've gotten a lot of arms recently from the state games, especially within these past couple of weeks. So I think right behind them is Kaskaskia. They have 6. So yeah, awesome stuff there. But I don't know if you guys want to mention anything with any of those guys or any of those other schools and programs that have been committing kids, but
I'm just going to give a shout out to Lakeland. I love to hear that they're attacking guys that were at the state games. And for those that know Julio Godinez as the head coach at Lakeland over there, we run a scout day in the fall with him, but he's always been a huge help at the Illinois State games. We have junior colleges come to the event and help run the workout day, whether it's throwing BP, hitting fungos, helping change a blast sensor, and then they coach a team or two during the event, and they're in the dugout. They're helping with lineups, just making sure guys are getting to where we had them set, and coaching third base and getting to know these guys and helping the energy of the event. And Julio's always been like one of the top guys that we have every year. He brings his assistant as well. I know Gabe Black has been here multiple times to the event with Julio, but that's great to hear. They help. They're a huge help in the event, and then to be us hopefully helping them see players and get commitments out of it. That's what it's all about. So wanted to start there, and then I just wanted to shout out Drew Stevens. He has been a long time PBR guy, and Tyler, I think you mentioned it. We were getting ready for the call, and Drew Stevens and Derek Holmes, I don't want to steal your thunder, but they were junior future game participants for us way back in the day. And I just get done talking about Zane Caves, and we see him in the summer for the first time, and we don't really know what trek he's on, where he's at in his progression. And a guy like Drew Stevens, it is clear as day. You go to his profile, and I was doing it, and you look, and we have the timeline. His first event, he came to something in 2021. I'm not going to blast out his numbers from that event. Let's just say he continues to get a lot better every time we see him. And that is what I try to just impart to these players when they come to an event. It's not about who you are right now at this present moment. Like, it is about getting better every day and seeing where the chips fall, when you're all said and done. And I think Drew continues to have plenty of ceiling left, but you break down what he's done every year coming to events, and the numbers continue to improve. I'm looking at his pop time. I'm looking at his catcher velocity. In 2023, he was 69 from the crouch with a 2.22 pop time as his best and an 8.07 60. You go to 2024, he's all the way up to a 77 from the crouch. His pop time's down to a 202. He ran a 7.53. Like, and that was at the Illinois State games. And that was even improved from the winter when we saw him at the preseason All-State, where he had increased his catcher velo by 2 miles an hour. He had trimmed his 60 down from a 7.68 to a 7.53. So really happy for him. Lands at Valparaiso, Division I in the Missouri Valley. Really good. That's a really, really good conference. And I think by the time he gets to college, like he's not going to be the same player he is now. Like he is going to continue to get better. And besides the skill, like I think we all agree, like Drew Stevens is one of our favorite guys. When he comes to an event, when we've had him at the junior future games, when we have him at the state games, always has a smile on his face. Just a team guy, coachable, like just who you want to be around. And those are the guys I want to shout out. So that's what I had on that, Gav. And Tyler,
Drew,
I know you may want to follow up. But yeah, what do you got, Gav?
Sorry, Def, if you have anything. But with Drew Stevens, too, like just seeing on social media, too, if you watch the things that he'll post, I mean, he's always working out. He's always in the gym. He's always trying to get better. So that's awesome to see. And I remember actually at the junior future games when he was in, I guess, 8th grade, he mentioned something about coming back to the future games. And he said, either way, whether I'm there or not, I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna try and get there. And I think that just kind of goes to show what he has done throughout his high school career so far to get those metrics better, become a better player. So that's awesome to see for Drew.